Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll show you how to perfectly draft and cut a three-part corset with yoke and Queen Anne's neckline. If you are coming across my channel for the first time, my name is Ifeoluwa and thanks for stopping by. Now in this tutorial, you also learn how to draft and cut the back of this corset to look like this. Now if this is something you're interested in learning how to cut and sew, please stick around and watch this video to the end. And also do not forget to subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up so you can be visible to many more people, and also drop your questions and comments in the comment section. Thank you very much guys. Now let's get started. Now here are the measurements needed for this tutorial. I have the bust measurements, the waist, the bust points, the under bust, the front waistline measurements, the back waistline measurements, the across back measurements, and then I have my armhole circumference. I'll start by measuring out my chest line measurements from the top of this paper. So I have my chest line measurements as 7 inches. You can calculate that with the bust measurements divided by 6 plus 1.5, or you can use the armhole circumference divided by 2. I'll mark that, and then I'm going to mark the bust points. I'll mark the under bust, and then I'll mark the front waistline measurement. So I'll do the same thing at the other side, and then I'll connect them together. So this is the shoulder line, the chest line, the bust point, the under bust, the front waistline. Then I have this side as my center front and the other side as the side front. Now I'm going to measure out my across back measurements divided by 2. That is the shoulder to shoulder measurement divided by 2. I have 14 inches divided by 2, which is 7 inches. And I'll mark that from the shoulder line down to the chest line. Now from the shoulder line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and then whatever I have left, I'll divide by 2, mark that point, then come in by 0.75. Now on the chest line, I'm going to take the bust measurement divided by 4. So what I'm doing here is just to create the armhole. So I'm going to use my armhole curve to connect those 3 points together. Now I'm going to take my neckline measurements. I'm using 4 inches for the neck width and then 3 inches for the neck depth. So it just depends on which one you're comfortable with or how wide you want the neckline to be. So I'll connect this with my curve, and then I'll go ahead to connect the shoulder slant too. So from the chest line down to the front waistline, I'll take the bust span measurement. So the bust span measurement is the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. So you can also derive this from the bust using the bust measurement divided by 4 minus 1.5, and then you divide what you have by 2. So I'm going to draw a straight line from the chest line down to the front waistline. Now towards the center front here, I'm going to take 0.5 inch, and towards the side front, I'll take in 1.5. So I'll do the same thing on the under bust, then I'll connect with a straight line. So this is going to be the dart. So I'll use my French curve to connect from the under bust to the bust points on both sides. Now to take the shoulder dart, I'm going to divide what I have on my shoulder slant by 2. So I have 3 inches altogether, divided by 2, I have 1.5. So I'll mark that there, and then I'll connect with a line from that point to the bust points. Now I'm going to mark out the neckline of the corset. That is how deep I want the neckline of the corset to be. So you can leave it here on the chest line, or you can go below the chest line, or you can go a little bit above the chest line. Just depends on how open you want the body to be. So I'm using 8 inches for this. I'm going to mark out the 8 inches. Then I'm going to measure out about 0.5 inch here. So that is the middle part of the corset. I'm measuring out 0.5. You can go as much as 0.75. Just depends on how wide you want that middle part to be. So after drawing a straight line there for the middle part of the corset, I'm using my pencil to check how I want the neckline to be. So this neckline is just fine for this corset, and I'm going to go in with my marker so that it can be clear. If you're still watching this, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel, and also give this video a thumbs up. Don't hesitate to leave your questions and your comments in the comment section. Thank you very much guys. So I'm going to do something here so as to eliminate gaping from the neckline. So I'll be taking that of 0.5 inch on both sides. So doing this is going to make the neckline area to lay well on the chest. So I'm going to take 0.5 inch here and 0.5 inch there. Then I'm going to connect with a straight line into the bust point. Now I have to replace the 1 inch that I have taken from here, and then I'll replace it there. I'm going to extend this neckline there, and I'll put it there. Now you could use what you have here as the yoke, but this is not the yoke I'm going to use for this. I'm using a Queen Anne's neckline, so I won't be using this particular one, but if you want, you can go ahead to use this as the yoke. So to replace this, I already know that I have 1 inch here. I'm going to extend this line like this, and then I'm going to place the 1 inch on that part. I already have my bust measurement on the chest line. Then I'm going to measure out what I have here. I have about 0.75, and also I'll replace that on the chest line. And I'm going to draw out a new armhole from the points of the chest line down to the point of the neckline. So this is the new armhole I'm going to cut out for this part, and then this one is no longer useful. Now on the waistline, I'm going to divide my waist measurement by 4. I have 6.25, and then whatever I have here, I'm going to replace it on the waist measurement. So I have about 2 inches. I'm going to put that, and I'll connect from the chest line down to the waistline. Now it's time to fix in the side darts. Now you do this when you have a different front waistline and back waistline. Now the difference between these two is 2 inches. I'm going to take that 2 inches at the side there, and then I'm going to connect it into the bust point. So doing this is going to make the sides of the front and the back to align together, and it's also going to give you a perfect fit. So you make sure that you accurately measure your front waistline and the back waistline. Now for the queen ants neckline, I'm going to connect a straight line from the shoulder slant there, that is my shoulder line, down to this dart leg. So this is the yoke I'll be using for this tutorial, this one here. So before I draw out the cups for the corset, I'm going to cut out what I have. I'm going to cover up the side dart, and then I'll cut out the yoke. So to cover up the side dart, I'm just going to cut out this part here and stop a little bit before the bust point. Then I'll come to the side here and do the same thing. I'll stop a little bit before the bust point so that it will be easy for the side darts to be covered. I'll use my masking tape to hold them together. Now you can see that the lines here are no longer equal, so I'm also going to do justice to that and draw out a new line from the chest line down to the waistline. Now I'll continue with the cutting. So you remember that this new armhole is what we are going to be cutting out, and then I'll cut out the yoke. So guys, you can see this yoke. If you want a full yoke, you can decide to go with this. You can see how it is after I folded the dart there. Now you can see that the yoke is aligning to the body of the corset. So you can decide to use this yoke, or you can just go ahead to cut out the one that I already that I want for this tutorial, that is the queen ant neckline. Now after folding this, you can see that we have a little bit of gap there on the neckline area. So what I'm going to do now is just to replace that gap. I'm going to fix in another pattern paper, just a little pattern paper, and then I'm going to cover it back up, and I'll draw out a new neckline. So that neckline is going to meet the one that we already have there. So it is going to close up that gap, that little gap that is there. So you ensure that you do this on your pattern paper before cutting out on the fabric, because by the time you want to sew this on the fabric, you notice that one is longer than the other, and then you have to start trimming out. So trimming out can affect the result of what you already have. So you just do this on the pattern paper before cutting out on fabric. Now I'm going to go ahead to cut out what I have. Now to create the cups for this, I'm going to use my French cuff to connect from the under bust to that point. So that is the 0.5 inch that I came in by for the middle part. So after doing for the center front, I'll go ahead to do the same thing for the side front. I'll also create a curve, and you can let the curve to come into the armhole as I'm doing here. So this is cup 1 and this is cup 2. So if you want, you can just go ahead to cut this out. That is if you don't want to do a 3-part corset. But as we're doing a 3-part corset now, I'm just going to measure out the length of what I want for the first part of the corset. So I'll measure it out. I'm using 2 inches for this. I'm just showing you how it is going to look like. So I'm cutting it out now so you can properly see how it is going to be. So this is what I have after cutting out, and I'm going to use my masking tape to hold those two pieces together. So just the part that would be enough for the first part of the corset. So I'm going to hold those pieces together. So I'm going to measure out the length that I want for the first part. I already measured out 2 inches. So what I'm just going to do is connect them together. Now I have this part as 1, I have this as 2, and I have this as 3. So that is the 3-part corset. Now I'm going to separate the first one. So guys, this is how the front pattern of this corset looks like. Now let's move on to the back pattern. Now for the back pattern, I'm going to explain how you can work with zip if you want, and how you can work with a laced back. So I'm going to bring out 1 inch for the zip allowance, and then I'm going to draw a straight line. Now from the top of the paper here, which is the shoulder line, I'm going to mark out the chest line measurement, and then I'll mark out the back waistline measurement. So I'm going to draw a straight line across. So I have this as my shoulder line, the chest line, the back waistline, then I have this part as my center back line. On the shoulder line here, I'm going to take the across back measurement divided by 2, starting from this center back line. So I'll do the same thing on the chest line, then I'm going to draw out a straight line to connect them together. So to create my armhole like I did for the front, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and then whatever I have left, I'll divide by 2 and mark that point. From that point, I'll come in by 0.5. Now on the chest line, I'm going to take the bust divided by 4, so starting from the center back line there. So I'm going to connect the 3 points together to create my armhole. Now for the neckline, I'm going to use the same thing I used at the front, that is 4 inches for the neck width, and then for the neck depth of the back, I'm using 1 inch. So the back is higher than the front. Then I'm going to connect that with my curve and also connect my shoulder slant. Now what I'm going to do here is to further prevent zip bulge at the back. I'm going to come in by 1 inch from that waistline. So from that center back line, I came in by 1 inch, and I'm going to connect it back into the chest line. So this is going to be the new zip allowance. So from this new point of my zip allowance, I'm going to mark out the waist measurement divided by 4, and I'm going to connect from the chest line down to the back waistline. So guys, if you're working with only zip, then this is just perfect for you. This is all for the back. But if you're working with eyelets, you want to have a laced back, I'm going to show you what to do. And if you also want to fix in yoke for the back, I'm also going to show you how to go about it. Now on the armhole here, I'm going to come down by 5 inches. So this is where the yoke is going to stop on the armhole area. You can go above, you can go below, it just depends on what you want for the yoke. Now on the neckline area too, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. So at the end of the day, you'll be fixing either a press button or hook and eye or whatever, or a button on this neckline area. So the zip is no longer going to be needed for the back if you're going to be using just the eyelets. Now here you can determine how open you want the back to be. You can use either 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, just depends on how open you want the back to be. So I used about 1.5 inches for this. Then I connected from the chest line down to the waistline. So don't forget that for this part here, you don't need the zip allowance. You are not counting, you're not adding the zip allowance to whatever you are doing, so it is cancelled already. So by the time you cut this out, this is what you're going to have. You're going to be fixing the eyelet or rope or whatever you're fixing here. You're going to be fixing it here. So this is how it is going to look like. Now for the back yoke, I'm going to connect from the armhole there down to the chest line. So that is the part that I came down by 5 inches down to the chest line. And then for the opening of the back, I'm just going to create a little curve here from the 1 inch that I came down by. I'll create the curve down to meet the line that we made for the yoke. So guys, this is going to be the back yoke, and then these parts are not needed. I'm going to cut out these parts. Now if you feel like this opening at the back is too much for you, you can go ahead to create another one that is closer. So guys, this is all for the back pattern. Then I'm going to go ahead to cut out what I have. So this is how the front and the back look like. Then I'm going to go ahead to cut this out of my fabric and add all the necessary allowances needed to it. Now guys, this is what I have after cutting out on my fabric, and then I've proceeded to add all the necessary allowances to it. So in my next video, I'm going to show you how to sew this from the beginning to the end. So we've come to the end of this tutorial on how to draft and cut a 3-part corset with Queen Anne's neckline. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel guys, and also give this video a thumbs up, and do not hesitate to leave your questions in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching guys. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.